All right, big news coming in. Let's quickly cut into the latest news break, which puts the spotlight on the top court of the country tomorrow. The Supreme Court likely to announce its verdict on the legal recognition of same-sex marriage. This will happen tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Let's hark back to May, viewers. The top court had reserved the judgment on a batch of petitions, pleas seeking legal validation for same-sex marriage. In May this year, the Supreme Court held a marathon hearing to consider the issue of giving recognition to same-sex marriage and the legal and social questions arising out of those petitions. The hearings were held after 18 same-sex couples filed petitions before the top court seeking recognition of their union, their relationship with the legal status of marriage. However, the centre in midst of all of this has said that this is not the purview of the top court. This is the purview of making laws and the parliament. Cutting across to my colleague Nalini Sharma, who joins us live, our top legal expert with the latest. Nalini, take us through on what we can expect tomorrow.
Well, Preeti, no doubt about the fact that it's going to be a big day tomorrow before the Supreme Court, because it's no less than a 5-judge constitution bench being headed by the Chief Justice of India, Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, that is expected to pronounce this verdict. The reason why we are saying expected is because we are still waiting for a confirmation from the Supreme Court on their website as to whether or not this judgment is going to be pronounced. But all sources have indicated that the judgment is likely tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. A 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court headed by the Chief Justice of India and also including Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul, Justice S. Ravindra Bhatt, Justice Hema Kohli, as well as Justice P.S. Narasimha. Now remember, Justice S. Ravindra Bhatt is set to retire on Friday. Friday will be his last working day, which is why we're expecting this verdict to be pronounced tomorrow. It's a big thing that everybody is watching out for, whether or not legal recognition will be given to same-sex couples to get married in India, whether the Supreme Court is going to turn down their plea or whether they're going to take a middle path. Remember, the centre has categorically told Supreme Court, Preeti, that this is not in the domain of the Supreme Court to decide this, that laws can be made only by the Parliament and the court should leave this up to the Parliament to do that. So they have categorically refuted these pleas, but it remains to be seen what's going to happen tomorrow, because that's what's going to set the course for exactly how things proceed for same-sex couples as well as the entire LGBTQ community in India henceforth.
Well, not just that, it's going to be path-breaking, whichever way the court decides. Will the court be conservative? Will it go all the way, or will it take the legal middle path? I want to bring in Nalini back into this conversation. Nalini, will you just give us a bit of a background on how long this fight has been, on the petitions that have been heard by the court over the course now of months?
Well, absolutely. And Preeti, remember, this year we've completed 5 years since the landmark judgment that the Supreme Court had given, that had struck down Section 377 of the IPC, that had decriminalized homosexuality in India. So it's 5 years since that judgment when we are now looking at as to whether or not same-sex marriages will be legalized. There was a marathon hearing before the Constitution bench of the Supreme Court, after which in May this year the judgments were finally reserved, and now the Supreme Court is expected to pronounce it. Little bit earlier, if you remember, the Chief Justice of India in open court had also said that they are continuously working on the judgment. There are a lot of stakeholders that they've had to refer to, a lot of aspects that they've had to look into, because remember, it's not as simple as whether or not legal recognition should be granted. There are also a lot of corresponding rights. When you allow somebody to get married legally, there are rights regarding adoption, divorce, maintenance, succession. All of that needs to be looked into, but at the same time, the Supreme Court's not gone into those aspects during the hearing. They've kept it overall only on the aspect of as to whether or not marriages should be legalized, which leads us to believe that the Supreme Court might be a little bit more inclined to take a middle path, but no speculation as of now, Preeti. It all awaits to be seen.
Even if it is a middle path, what would be the modalities or the fine print of that middle path? But this is all conjecture. We'll only know tomorrow. Thank you, Nalini, for joining us. Big day tomorrow for India.